Every year, people disappear inside one forest in Montana. Search teams always find their tents, their cameras, and their footprints. But they never find the people. If you ever hear someone calling your name from the Black Pine Forest, don't answer. Because the forest isn't calling you, it's choosing you. Deep in the mountains of Montana stood Black Pine Forest, a place surrounded by terrifying stories for over a century. Rangers warned visitors never to remain after sunset, but few believed them. Every year, hikers disappeared without leaving a trace. Search helicopters, trained dogs, and rescue teams found only abandoned camps, untouched food, and silent cameras still recording. No bodies were ever discovered. Wildlife photographer Ethan Carter dismissed every rumor as fear and superstition. He believed every mystery had a logical answer. He was about to prove himself completely wrong. Before entering the forest, Ethan stopped at a lonely gas station near the mountain road. An elderly cashier noticed the camera hanging around his neck and quietly asked where he was going. When Ethan mentioned Black Pine Forest, the old man's smile disappeared. He placed an old wooden whistle on the counter and whispered, "If you hear your name, blow this instead of answering." Ethan laughed politely and walked away. Minutes later, he glanced back. The gas station had vanished, leaving only an empty stretch of road behind him. The afternoon sun slowly disappeared behind towering pine trees as Ethan stepped into Black Pine Forest. Everything seemed peaceful until his phone suddenly lost signal. Even the birds stopped singing. A cold breeze drifted through the trees. Then someone softly whispered, "Ethan!" He froze. The voice sounded exactly like his younger sister. Smiling, he turned to answer her. There was nobody there. Before he could move again, another voice called his name from a different direction. Then another, and another. Ignoring the strange voices, Ethan followed the trail marked on his map. After several minutes, he stopped in confusion. The wooden trail sign he had passed earlier stood directly in front of him again. He checked his footprints. They led in a straight line, yet somehow returned to the same place. His compass spun wildly before freezing. A deep growl echoed through the trees. Then every trail marker slowly turned by itself, pointing toward a path that had not existed only moments before. Ethan wasn't lost anymore. The forest had found him. The strange trail led Ethan into a quiet clearing hidden deep inside the forest. A campsite stood beneath towering pines, untouched by time. A campfire burned with steady flames, and a pot of coffee still steamed above the fire. Two folding chairs faced each other, yet no one was there. Food rested on metal plates as if dinner had been interrupted only seconds earlier. Ethan called out, but the forest answered with silence. Then one empty chair slowly turned toward him, without anyone touching it. Beside the fire, Ethan found a weathered video camera lying in the dirt. The battery was almost empty, but one recording remained. He pressed play. A terrified family raced through the forest, begging someone to help them. The camera suddenly fell to the ground. Through the shaking image, Ethan saw tall, shadowy figures silently surrounding the family. The recording ended with complete darkness. Then the camera screen flickered once more. A new image appeared. It showed Ethan standing exactly where he was, even though nobody was filming him. A sudden gust of cold wind carried hundreds of loose leaves across the clearing. They gathered around an enormous black pine tree, unlike any Ethan had ever seen. The bark was covered with thousands of carved names, stretching higher than his flashlight could reach. Curious, he stepped closer. Near the center of the trunk, fresh wood shavings covered the ground. Slowly, new letters carved themselves into the bark before his eyes. They formed only two chilling words: Ethan Carter. He wasn't reading the tree anymore. The tree was riding him. As Ethan backed away from the ancient tree, he noticed a woman standing between the pines. She wore an old park ranger uniform stained with mud and leaves. Her face looked pale, but her eyes were filled with fear. Without speaking, she motioned for him to follow. Ethan glanced down and felt his heart pound. The soft ground around her was untouched. She had no footprints. In a trembling voice, she whispered, "Don't let the forest see you after midnight." Then she disappeared, leaving only cold mist drifting through the trees. Midnight arrived without warning. The forest became unnaturally quiet as every insect and bird suddenly fell silent. Ethan remembered the old wooden whistle the cashier had given him. Before he could reach into his pocket, a long whistle echoed through the trees. It sounded exactly like the one he carried. Another whistle answered from deeper inside the forest. Then another. Within seconds, dozens of whistles surrounded him from every direction. Someone, or something, was copying the sound and moving closer with every haunting note. Ethan slowly raised his flashlight toward the trees. Hundreds of pale faces stared back from the darkness without blinking. Men, women, and children stood perfectly still among the pines, wearing clothes from different decades. None of them spoke. None of them moved. Every pair of lifeless eyes remained fixed on Ethan. Then, as one, they slowly lifted an arm and pointed deeper into the forest. A frightened little boy whispered just 4 chilling words. "He's waiting for you." The lights on Ethan's camera suddenly went dark. Following the silent crowd, Ethan entered a hidden valley untouched by time. At its center stood the largest pine tree he had ever seen. Its trunk was wider than a house, and faint green light pulsed beneath the bark like a beating heart. Every nearby tree leaned toward it as though bowing before a king. Ethan reached out carefully. The moment his fingers touched the bark, terrifying memories flashed through his mind. He saw every missing hiker's final moments, and one future vision showing himself trapped inside the forest forever. Ethan stumbled backward in terror, but thick roots burst from the ground and wrapped around his legs. The ghostly crowd slowly disappeared into the darkness, leaving him completely alone before the ancient tree. A deep voice echoed through the valley. Every 100 years, the forest chooses one soul to protect its secret. The glowing bark split open, revealing a dark passage leading beneath the giant tree. Ethan's flashlight suddenly died. With no escape behind him, he looked into the endless darkness. If you enjoyed the story, head over to my YouTube profile to watch the next chapter.